Carmen, what is your matchup that matters here for this one?
Yeah, it's this Chargers O-line going against the Denver defense because despite the bye week that the Chargers were on, they are still not all the way healthy, especially along that offensive line. Rashawn
Right.
Slater is still a limited participant on Wednesday. I think actually the Chargers had 7 guys total sit out of practice on Wednesday. Not what you want to see after the team's had a week off. And then especially when they're going to get a test against this Denver defense, who I think has been one of the most pleasant surprises of
Yes.
this season so far. I mean, you and I have talked about just how much they're getting out of their defensive front in particular over the last couple of weeks. This was a team that went into this year with a lot of unknowns, and you're seeing guys step up all over the place, like
Hmm.
Zach Allen in that defensive front. And then you see in this last game, you obviously we all know what Pat Surtain is capable of.
Hmm.
You knew that teams were probably going to try and pick on whoever was playing opposite him. That's been the case with Riley Moss, but then he comes away with his first interception of his career
Yeah.
this last game. And you're having these guys kind of step up, and Pat Surtain is posting a photo from White Men Can't Jump with him and Riley Moss's faces photoshopped on it. I mean, the vibes are high in Denver. I
Yes.
actually had the opportunity to speak to one of their defensive coaches this last week, just kind of about how this turnaround and if anybody was surprised there along that coaching staff, and he echoed the sentiment that vibes are really good. The team
Hmm.
really believes in what Vance Joseph is doing schematically. They're having a lot of fun. And they're really taking to it. They're really buying in. And
Hmm.
that's exactly what you want to see for a unit that this team has to rely on, given the fact that you do still have a young developing quarterback who
Yeah.
isn't quite there. Bo Nix is doing exactly what Sean Payton is asking him to do, but that's not a whole lot right now. And so the reason that the Broncos have had the success they've had so far this season really comes down to this defense, which is first in EPA per play, first in pass rush win rate, third in success rate. That's all according to NGS. And their third and fourth conversion rate, third and fourth down conversion rate, fourth best in the league. I mean, you can just go through the stats here, and they are top 5, top 3, top 2. I mean, it's really pretty incredible to see what this defense has been capable of throughout this season so far, given that there are guys that hadn't started a game prior to this season that are now
Right.
stepping up for this team.
Yeah, no, it's been fun to watch the Broncos play really well, and we figured that this was a group that was still going to take a little bit of time to gel. But certainly the defensive side of the football, the offense is still sort of coming along,
Right.
and I think the offense is fine. But like I think the record is a little bit better than what the offense would indicate, or at least the outputs, right? And anybody who is like, "Oh, this disrespect," I feel like I'm defending Bo Nix more than like anybody else out there in the media outside of the city of Denver. And so I've been the one who has said like, "Hey, we're being way too hard on Bo Nix.
Yeah.
There are good things that are there, but it's just not a complete team." The offensive line struggled to start the season. They're clearly needing more in the passing attack when it comes to passing weapons. The run game is starting to come along. There's no doubt about it. But to me, the matchup that matters is on that side of the ball, because where the Chargers haven't faced the steepest level of competition in the best offenses, they are number one in the NFL right now with only 12.3 points allowed. Like Jim Harbaugh also coming in to coach this team along with Jesse Minter, their defensive coordinator. Like they have elevated the floor of this group and gotten the most out of some really talented veterans. Now you've got some guys that are, still banged up and not in the lineup, and I understand that from them, but to me, this is going to be a low scoring slugfest. I think both of these teams are scoring less than 20 points in this game, and the margin for error for both of them is going to be so low. And I think it's just because of the hat tip that obviously I am glad the Broncos defense is getting the recognition that they deserve. But I also don't think the Chargers are quite getting the recognition they deserve from their defense as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, what Justin Herbert can be with this team. Does Patrick Surtain kind of like shadow Lad McConkey? Because if he does, like, man, who else is he really throwing the ball to? If you got Riley Moss on Quentin Johnson, okay, Quentin Johnson might win that from a size battle, but Riley Moss, obviously a really good athlete in his own right. So we've seen him make plays as soon as last week with the interception, but he's been doing this, I think, all season long, not just last game. So that's been really great for him. But I kind of wonder where the football is going with the Chargers offense if Surtain's able to totally take away, or maybe just a combination of their defenders able to take away Lad McConkey, but maybe get back to running the ball better the way that they did through the first 2 weeks of the season. I just think that's a major matchup that matters. The Chargers defense versus the Broncos offense, because The Broncos offense feels like it's been in more of a rhythm over the last couple of weeks. If it continues to be against this Chargers defense, then I think they can win the game. But if not, man, I think it's going to be a low scoring pitcher's duel, as they say in baseball. But Herbert to me is my plus factor in this one for that reason. He hasn't been great so far this season. In fact, his PFF passing grade 55.4. I think the only one worse. No, there's only two quarterbacks that are worse: Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. So you don't expect to see Justin Herbert's name that low on a list, but he is. So that's my plus factor if he could play well.
Yeah, that was my plus factor too. I think we agree on that. I mean, the Chargers are averaging just 17 points a game. They have the 29th ranked offense, 31st ranked passing offense. They are averaging the 9th most rushing attempts, but I mean, they are like almost dead last in passing attempts. So it's just, or they are dead last in passing attempts, in fact. So if you can get this pass game going, I mean, that is going to unlock so many different things. If you can make this Chargers offense a little bit more dimensional rather than just kind of running the ball, they just haven't been productive either way. And if you can find a way to get Justin Herbert to do what he does best, which is throw the ball, I don't know who he's throwing to necessarily. This would be a great time. I think it's time for Ladd McConkey to come on and be that dude for the Chargers offense. But like you said, if they match Pat Surtain up with him, I don't know that this is the week that it's going to happen. So it's going to be very interesting. The Denver defense is only averaging, letting up 19.2 points per game. So it's going to be really hard to do this.